Something interesting is happening today in Raider Nation. Three NFL draft prospects are visiting the Raiders today. And no, that's not just a random coincidence. The timing actually says a lot. Today marks the official start of the Raiders' voluntary offseason workouts, the unofficial beginning of a new chapter. And guess what? Right out of the gate, the team is hosting running back Ashton Genie from Boise State, defensive tackle Mason Graham from Michigan, and quarterback Quinn Ewers from Texas. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Why these three players and why today? This isn't just some casual visit. The Raiders picked day one of workouts to bring these guys in. That sends a message. It's like the front office is showing its cards a little, or at least giving us a sneak peek into who they're eyeing for the future. You know who else is probably in the building today? Max Crosby. That guy practically has his own locker in every room at the facility. And don't be surprised if names like Jeremy Chin, Elandon Roberts, or even Geno Smith are walking the halls too. This team is being built around grit, passion, and love for the game. And that's no accident. Pete Carroll and John Spytek want dogs, guys who live and breathe football. So here's the question I'm throwing your way. How important do you think today's visits are? Was it just a convenient time? Or is there something deeper going on? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 means no big deal, and 10 means major clue about the team's draft plans, I'm giving it a solid 8. Something tells me these visits are more than just meet and greets. This might be the Raiders showing us the future, just a little earlier than expected. Let's turn up the heat, say, because this next part makes it clear the Raiders aren't just interested in these draft prospects, they're serious. I said earlier that the visits from Ashton Genty, Mason Graham, and Quinn Ewers today felt important, maybe even an 8 out of 10. But honestly, I'm leaning more toward an 8. Why? Because the signs are everywhere. Let's start with Ashton Genty. The Raiders haven't just met with him, they've gone all in. Genty's already had a top 30 visit with the team, a formal meeting at the NFL Combine, and they attended his pro day. But it doesn't stop there. After Genie's pro day, Raiders personnel, including GM John Spytek and RB's coach DeAndre Smith, had dinner with him and Boise State's head coach. And here's the kicker. Las Vegas was the only team to share a post-pro day meal with him. That's not just interest, that's courtship. And remember, Brandon Carroll, son of Pete Carroll, is now the Raiders' run game coordinator and O-line coach. Don't be surprised if this is Pete helping his son put his stamp on the offense with a rising star like Genty. Now let's talk Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Graham also had a top 30 visit with the Raiders and met with them at the Combine. And you know who else has deep Michigan ties? Tom Brady. With Brady's growing influence on the Raiders, don't overlook how those connections could shape draft decisions. In fact, I said it this morning on my Raiders offseason winners and losers show. This team is going all out to keep Max Crosby happy. They've retained Adam Butler, Rob Leonard, even gave DC Patrick Graham a raise. Drafting Mason Graham? That's another move that strengthens the trenches, a theme all offseason, and helps Crosby and new signing Christian Wilkins dominate even more. But now let's get to the most intriguing name, Quinn Ewers. He's had the full trifecta, a top 30 visit, a combine meeting, and a pro day sit-down with the Raiders. And did I mention? He's the only quarterback in the entire 2025 NFL draft class to check all 3 boxes with Las Vegas. And they're bringing him in today, the very first day of off-season workouts. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now, a few days back, I said I believed the Raiders might be targeting a quarterback on day 3 of the draft. Ewers could be that guy. The rumors are piling up that teams might grab QBs earlier than expected, and the Raiders are definitely doing their homework. Ewers isn't ready to start right now, but give him 2 to 3 years behind a veteran like Geno Smith, and who knows? He's raw, yes, but the upside is huge. He could develop into something special. Coming up next on the show, some fresh Raiders buzz that caught my eye. And if you've been following this channel, you know, if I find something interesting, I'm going to talk about it. Up next, what's going on with Michigan cornerback Will Johnson? His name keeps popping up more and more in connection with the Raiders, especially in round 1. Would he be my top pick at that spot? Honestly, I'm not sure, but let's break it down together. Let's start with Ashton Janty. The Raiders clearly have their eyes on him. He's already had a top 30 visit, a formal combine meeting, and even a pro day visit with them. But here's the clincher. After his pro day, Raiders officials John Spytek and running backs coach DeAndre Smith had dinner with Jeanty and Boise State's head coach. No other team did that, just the Raiders, and there's more. Pete Carroll's son, Brennan Carroll, is the Raiders' new run game coordinator and offensive line coach. You have to wonder, could he be pushing to bring in Janty to help kickstart his role? Now over to Mason Graham. He also had a top 30 visit with the Raiders and met with them at the Combine. He's got strong Michigan ties, and let's not forget Tom Brady's part owner of the team now. His Michigan connection could definitely play a role here. I even mentioned this in my offseason winners and losers video. This team is doing a lot to keep Max Crosby happy, from re-signing Adam Butler to keeping Rob Leonard and giving Patrick Graham a raise. Mason Graham would make life easier for both Crosby and Christian Wilkins. And here's the most intriguing name of all, Quinn Ewers. He's had a top 30 visit, a pre-pro day meeting, and a combine meeting. No other quarterback in the 2025 draft class can say that. I mentioned earlier that I believe the Raiders are targeting a quarterback on day 3. There are a lot of signs pointing that way. Ewers fits the mold. He's raw, but he's got high upside. Geno Smith is guaranteed to start for the next 2 to 3 years, which gives the team a perfect window to let someone like Ewers develop. Now let's talk about Michigan cornerback Will Johnson. I've said before, pick 6 might be a little too early for him. But if the Raiders trade back to somewhere around pick 9 to 12, I'd be a lot more comfortable with it. According to Ian Rappaport, Johnson is one of the top cornerbacks in this draft. He's finally recovered from a hamstring injury and will work out in Ann Arbor this Monday. And guess what? The first team he's visiting after that workout, the Las Vegas Raiders. They've already had a formal combine meeting and a top 30 visit with him. Add in the Tom Brady Michigan connection and even ties to Charles Woodson, and it's easy to see why the Raiders are doing their homework here. Pete Carroll loves big, athletic corners. Will Johnson fits that mold perfectly. Here's an interesting detail. One of our guys at Chat Sports who attended the Combine said the Raiders asked Mason Graham about Will Johnson. When a team asks one top prospect about another potential top 10 guy, you know they're seriously considering both. And now, let's wrap it up with Mel Kiper's final mock draft. Whether you like Mel or not, his last mock before the draft matters. He's plugged in through ESPN and gets real intel from NFL insiders. In his final 2-round mock, Mel has the Raiders taking Ashton Janty at pick 6. That's no surprise. Genty's name has come up constantly. And it makes sense. Last season, the Raiders were dead last in rushing yards per game and yards per carry. Pete Carroll wants to fix that. And Janty is a guy who could flip the script fast. He had 2,261 rushing yards last season and has shown flashes of being an elite 3-down back. He still needs to improve in pass protection, but the upside is there. Then in round 2, Mel's mock shows a run on quarterbacks starting early. Tyler Show goes at 33 and Jalen Milroe at 34. That kind of QB run could push the Raiders to take their guy earlier than expected, especially if they think the board is about to dry up. Graham visited the Raiders this week. Johnson is coming next. It's clear Vegas is very interested in both of these Michigan stars. Now, let's switch gears. Mel Kiper, whether you like him or not, just dropped his final mock draft. And while not everything Mel says is gospel, he does have real connections in the NFL through ESPN. This mock is 2 rounds, and he's got the Raiders picking at number 6 and number 37. Not everyone has ESPN Plus. So here's the scoop, for free. Here's how Mel's top 5 plays out. 1. Cam Ward, Titans 2. Travis Hunter 3. Abdul Carter 4. Will Campbell 5. Mason Graham, Jaguars. At number 6, the Raiders are up and Mel's pick. Ashton Janty, the running back that keeps popping up in Raiders mocks. Why Janty? The Raiders had the worst rushing offense in the league last season. Dead last in yards per game, 79.8. Last in yards per carry, 3.6. Tied for second fewest 10-plus yard runs, Pete Carroll wants to change that fast. Jeanty had 2,161 rushing yards last season and has elite traits: speed, power, vision. He's a potential three-down back. He just needs to improve his pass catching and blocking. But he's on the right path. Honestly, if Jeanty is the pick at number 6, I doubt many Raiders fans will complain. Now let's talk about round 2. If Emeka Egbuka is still available at this point, I'd bet the Raiders try to trade up. Maybe to pick number 35 with the Titans. Heck, they might even try to jump back into the end of round 1 to grab him. That's how much they like him. But in Mel Kiper's mock draft at pick number 37, the Raiders select linebacker Carson Sweezinger out of UCLA. I like this pick. In fact, Sweezinger was my 4th favorite target for the Raiders at number 37. He fits well alongside veterans like Elandon Roberts and Devin White. Sweezinger came out of nowhere in 2024, racking up 115 tackles, 4 sacks, and 2 interceptions. With Divine Diablo and Luke Masterson gone, Vegas has huge holes at linebacker. Sweezinger could be a big part of fixing that. So if Mel's mock plays out like this, Jeanty in the 1st, Sweezinger in the 2nd, I'd give it an A- grade. We address 2 big needs, RB and LB. I still want them to add a wide receiver and maybe a cornerback, but I wouldn't be mad at this draft start at all. Quick side note, former Raiders cornerback Jack Jones went unclaimed on waivers. That means all 32 teams passed on him, even at $3.4 million. Not surprising, considering nobody was willing to trade for him either. Now, before we dive into the latest NFL rumors, a big shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time, the official ticket partner of Chat Sports and the Raiders Report. Playoffs are heating up for the NBA and NHL, and baseball is finally back. If you want last-minute tickets to your favorite team's game, Game Time has your back. I've used it for years. It's fast, reliable, and has awesome views of your seats. You'll get lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and $20 off your first ticket with code CHATSPORTS. Personally, I'd love to hit a Vegas Golden Knights game soon. Watching hockey live? Nothing beats it. My dad's an Islanders fan, and when Ovechkin scored his 895th goal the other night, my dad missed it and was crushed. Don't miss those moments. Go live if you can. All right, back to the football world. You've heard the saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And that brings us to a hot rumor, Shedeur Sanders to the Saints. Apparently, the Saints quarterback and wide receiver coaches met with Deion Sanders during Colorado's Pro Day. After that, Shedeur had his Pro Day, and let's just say the buzz around Shedeur to New Orleans is very real. Even Coach Prime himself said he likes the idea. We all know Deion Sanders has been very outspoken about where he wants his son, Shedeur Sanders, to land. And lately, the rumors have been picking up steam. Travis Hunter could go number 1. 2nd overall, and Cam Ward might go number 1. But here's what really caught my eye. After Colorado's Pro Day, the team with the highest betting odds to draft Shedeur Sanders became the New Orleans Saints. Now that's interesting. Why? Because if the Saints are really eyeing Shedeur, a Raiders-Saints trade becomes way more possible. Imagine this. The Raiders trade back from pick 6 to 9. That makes sense, right? Not just for value, but because there's trust there. Deion trusts Brady. Brady is a mentor to Shedeur, and Tom Brady, of course, is connected to the Raiders. I'm not saying Deion is pulling strings behind the scenes, but if he is giving out advice, the Raiders are definitely in that circle. And here's the thing. The Raiders want to trade back. They've been open about it. They want to collect more picks, and if that means moving from pick 6 to pick 9 and getting a second rounder like pick 40 in return, I'd take that deal in a heartbeat. Here's what that trade might look like. Raiders receive pick 9 plus pick 40. Saints receive pick 6 plus pick 108. With that 40th pick, the Raiders could grab someone like Trey Amos, Xavier Watts, Trevayon Henderson, or maybe even Carson Swessinger. And remember, the Saints might want to jump the Jets at pick 7 to secure Shedeur. Even though the Jets signed Justin Fields, it's just a one-year prove-it deal. Now, let's talk about another quarterback who's making noise, Jalen Milroe. I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's a real chance Milroe goes in round 1. Seriously. 2 days ago, if you'd asked me, I'd have said, no way. Not even top 2 rounds. But now, he just accepted an invitation to attend the NFL draft. And that only happens if a team is seriously thinking about drafting you early. One NFL executive even said, the NFL doesn't want another Will Levis situation. And that says a lot. Remember when Will Levis was projected to go in the top 5 of the NFL draft? He got invited to the draft, showed up, sat there all night, and didn't hear his name called. He didn't go in round 1. Instead, he slipped to the second round. After that, the NFL became very cautious. Now, if a player gets invited to the draft, there's a real belief that he could be taken in the first round. So if Shedeur Sanders is a first rounder and Jalen Milroe is getting first round buzz, that might trigger a quarterback run. Guys like Jackson Dart or Tyler Show might go earlier than expected, just like last year when there was a sudden run on offensive linemen. So here's the question. Will Jalen Milroe be a first round pick? Honestly, my brain says no. But my gut? It's starting to think yes. Milroe is a freak athlete, and there are definitely coaches out there thinking, I can develop this kid. His 2023 film under Nick Saban looked a lot better than his 2024 tape without him. And now that he's been invited to the draft, I'm not even sure he'll still be available when the Raiders pick at number 37. That quarterback run could help the Raiders. If QBS go early, other elite talent might fall to them. But if Milroe goes round 1, who takes him? Here are a few teams to watch. New York Giants, Cleveland Browns, New Orleans Saints, Pittsburgh Steelers, they've met with him, Los Angeles Rams, and you know Sean McVay is the type to bet on himself. New York Jets, even with Justin Fields on a 1-year deal. Speaking of the Jets, let's shift gears. There are trade rumors flying around a big-name Jets player, Breece Hall. Now, first off, huge shout out to the Noti gang. I see you. Be High Meme, Clown Face Killer, Mad Vet Raider, y'all show up early, comment, support the videos. I appreciate you more than you know. Back to Breece Hall. He might be on the trade block. Why? The Jets are reportedly planning to use a 3 running back committee this year. Hall is entering a contract year, and he's not a fan of that idea. He wants to prove himself, be the feature back, and earn a big payday. So naturally, people are asking, would the Raiders trade for him? Look, Hall fits the style that Pete Carroll likes. Tough, physical, can catch the ball. But I'd be shocked if the Raiders or anyone else traded for him before the draft. This running back class is deep. There's real value in the draft. But if we finish the 2025 NFL draft with the same running back room we have now, then I'd say the Raiders have to start looking at other options. And Hall would absolutely be one of them. As always, thanks for watching.